Hello, everybody. Welcome back. This is H Piece of the Puzzle here, coming today with sort of a different type of video. So, when I was working on YouTube content for Magic, I had to start somewhere with gameplay. And when I did that, I started by reverse engineering some of the popular creators I saw, like Play to Win MTG, and incredibly obviously, Playing with Power MTG. These are two channels that I saw were popular and respected, and I wanted to start doing gameplay. And the fact that I had to just know how to do that right off the bat, it worked out for me. But when I was trying to find resources, I saw that there was a real lack of that in the community. So I figured, what better way than to do a tutorial on how to do a gameplay video? Now, this is going to be broken into 3 parts, and there will be a playlist for it, so you don't have to hunt them down. I'll put that in the description. We're going to start today with how to set up your project file, because getting your files templated out so that every time you want to do a new gameplay video, it's all there for you is really helpful, saves a lot of time, and through walking through it, I hope you find some ways that maybe you want to do it differently, because I'll be showing how I do things, but there's probably faster ways, or there might be faster ways that work for you. So if you have those, either suggest them in the comments, or I hope that this video will inspire you to find ways where you go, well, I feel like this is a faster way to do that. That's what I really like about editing. I like that it's a very collaborative art form where you just have to look up what you want to do and then you know how to do it. So this is my way of adding to that. With that being said, let's dive into it. So first things first, we are in Premiere. Easiest first step, just new project. So for project location, right off the bat, one thing that I like to do is have every file be footage and voiceover, just to keep things organized. It's really, really easy. So we have that there, and for this, we just make sure to keep the project file out of those folders so that it won't interfere. Sometimes Premiere can be a little weird if you put the project file in the same folder as some of your resources, so be wary of that. So we'll select the folder there. We will be using no project template from the start. And for project name, let's just call this tutorial template, just like that. As for import settings, we don't need any of those, and we're gonna hit create. All right, so right off the bat, my workspace looks a little different than what it should be. So to make sure that we're going for all of the same workspace style, I'm just gonna go to Window, Workspaces, and then we're going to go to Reset to Saved Layout. Okay, so this is what a lot of your Premiere Pro should look like. If it doesn't, no big deal. If there's any window at any time that I have up that you don't have, you can just go to Window, and you should be able to find it in this section here, and you can check them on, you can check them off, and it'll pop them up right then. It's the same no matter what workspace you're in, so if you switch workspaces, like to Effects, like see, oh wow, I got a lot of stuff popped up here, so we just go to Workspaces, Reset to Save Layout. Yours will probably look like this. So I'm going to be working in a workspace like this, but same deal, all of the things you could pop up are right here and you can pull them up. So for now, we're gonna go to Workspaces and we're going to go to Editing. All right, we have to get our bins set up. Organization is incredibly important. I always used to be told, like, if you were to pass away as an editor and then somebody else has to take the job, or maybe not pass away, maybe that's a little dramatic, maybe if just you fall sick and somebody else has to continue the editing, then if you're not organized, they're going to curse you for the rest of your life, because organization is the best way to keep the workflow moving forward. So some very easy things we can do. You can right click and just hit New Bin. So this bin is going to be labeled Footage. Another bin that's important to have, right-click New Bin, VoiceOver for the voiceover. Another bin that's going to be helpful later is Photos. Another bin that'll be helpful later is Effects. All right, and we'll stick with those for now. These are all good bins to start out with in the process, though there is one more you can also do, which is Sequences. Now, there's nothing wrong with keeping your sequences outside of these folders, but We are going to be using a lot of them, so keeping it organized is also a really, really solid call. The first sequence we're actually going to work on is for the gameplay itself. So in order to do a sequence, we just need new item, sequence. Okay, so this is one of the ways you can do it. You've got all these folders. The one you have to keep in mind every time is digital SLR, 1080p, and then DSLR, 1080p, 30. Sequence name, we will call it, I always called mine just gameplay, so that I know that this file is only going to have our gameplay in it, because we're going to be making multiple sequences and we're going to be layering them up as we go. So this one is just where we put our gameplay together. So we don't have to do anything fancy with it after this. That sequence is done. Our next sequence, the new item sequence, same settings as before. We're going to call this sequence card stack overlay. Okay. So card stack overlay is what I use when I want to start putting cards on the screen. Having them separate like this means that you can keep your timelines organized and keep your workflow easy. If you notice a mistake in one that you need to go back and fix immediately, you don't have to fumble through all of these different things. So that's great. As we start adding more things to each file, we will start stacking them into each other. Another sequence that's important to do is one labeled intro. So this is where you're going to do all of your intros for your videos. Keeping it separate makes it really easy to combine things at the end, just so put them all the sequences together and get them ready. In the same vein of that, we will also be doing new item, sequence, and we can do outro. Same idea, outro tends to change even less, so not a lot to do in that one right now. So we have gameplay, card stack overlay, intro, outro. Another sequence that's important for putting your gameplay together is for the overlay. So we have card stack overlay, but we also need life totals, we need turns, and we need deck names. So for that, we're just gonna call this deck names life overlay. And last but not least, another sequence we need is full video. And that's where we'll be putting all the sequences together when we are done. So we've got 6 sequences here, and that seems like a lot, but like I said, keeping them organized so you can easily flip between each of them is vital for keeping your workflow fast. And again, there's probably a faster way to do this, and if there is, feel free to use it, because Lord knows we need to get faster at this. Speed is everything. There is one important thing we are missing right now in our folders though, and that is the cards themselves. Now, there are a few different ways to get the cards. I definitely did it the long way. So the long way is going on to Scryfall and manually getting the cards as you need them, but there are a couple of ways to speed that process up. Okay, so this next part has a few different ways to do it depending on what web browser you're on. For this example, I will be using Chrome because this is where the extension is that I use. There are probably extensions for other web browsers, so feel free to use them if they do something similar. This is just the one that I use. So we start by getting a plugin called Image Downloader. We add it to Chrome. It's already been added for me, but if I didn't have it, it would just go add to Chrome, add the extension, it can manage things, all good there. I would rather not sync things. Okay, so we've got our image downloader. Now we go to Scryfall. And like I said, there's 2 different ways to do this. We can either download them one at a time, or we can get them by sets. And the easiest way to do that, as you just saw, is go to Scryfall, just hit all sets, and then we can click sets as we go. So with Image Downloader on Chrome, the next thing to do is just to go to Scryfall, hit all sets, and like I said, you can do this manually, or you can go set by set, which is objectively faster if you want every single card, but honestly, in the short term and even the midterm, it's better to just get the cards you need at first. But if you want all of them, that's totally valid and fine. In the long term, it's very helpful. And to do that, you just come here, click the set, it'll show the set just like that. which is terrific. Because normally Scryfall will only show 60 a page or about 175 if you're in checklist mode. So going set by set means that Scryfall will have every single image up at a time. Now, I will admit this is going to be a little obnoxious with all of the alt arts that are available now, and I apologize, but it does make it easy if you want all the cards. So now we go up to our extensions, we hit image downloader, we hit select all, and then it's going to choose every possible image file on there. So we might need to uncheck like the magnifying glass, Scryfall's scroll symbol, all those things. So we just scroll through, and these are all cards, and then there's almost always, oh, nothing at the bottom. Well, that's nice. So at this point, if you don't want the alt arts, this is where you start taking them out, and there's nothing wrong with that. Then we go save to subfolder. I'm going to call this one Murders at Karlov Manor. And so that'll make that easy. And then we hit download. I am going to preface right now, downloading this many images is going to chug your computer. So just be prepared for it. Here we go. Ask where to save, each download option. Proceeding might open a lot of pop-up windows. Continue with the download. Oh, yes, that's a good thing to check. So we need to make sure that it's not going to ask for every single one. So we go to settings. Looks like we are good. All right. So have everything set. Murders at Karlov Manor. Download. Got it. Don't show again. Yes, download. And like I said, as you can see up here, that is going to be a lot of photos downloaded incredibly quickly. And while we're waiting for these images to download, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, leave a comment on anything that I might miss in this 3-part series that you would like me to touch on. Okay, we are back. Our 286 card images are all done downloading. Actually, it was more like 400 because I also downloaded the alt arts. So let's see what we got here. Image downloader leaves the images in your downloads folder by default, and I don't think there's a way to change that. This is why you need to save it to a subfolder, or else you're going to be bombarded with multiple images just right there in your downloads, and then it's just a mess to get it all sorted and organized. So save yourself the favor, save it to a subfolder. So we've got our images here in Murders at Karlov Manor. I recommend just labeling a folder named cards, or if you're planning on doing multiple different card games, MTG cards, and just drag it in there. So you would do this for every single set if you want every single card, but that would be really boring to show on camera. And I've got a lot of images downloaded already of cards, most of the ones that I need for basically everything. So I'm going to skip downloading every single card, but if you want a card database, this is a really great way to do it. All right, now that we're back in Adobe Premiere, there's a couple ways to bring card images in. You can import them, though I'm going to level with you. It's a lot easier to just pull up your card folder and just drag it directly into your project. So this is going to chug things a little bit. It is importing a ton of cards, but this will save. It's just a faster way to do it for like batch files, because this is, well, we'll find out here in a second. Yeah, 1,300 card images in one go. I even brought the Murders at Karlov Manor in, so there's actually more like 1,700 in here. So this is my MTG cards. They're not organized. They're just kind of thrown in here. If you would like to do them as folders, that's definitely not a bad call. If you do them as folders, you're going to want to change how your file system works. So in order to do that, you just come down here, and I recommend going to list view if you do folders. And that's simply because then you can just open the folder like this, and then you have your list of cards. But if you do that and you're not in list view, then you have to keep clicking through all the folders, which is fine if that's what you want to do, but editing is all about speed. So if you are going to folder them, go to list view just so that then when you search the cards, it will actually pop up. Because if I'm in list view and I want Case of the Shattered, okay, see, there it is. Easy enough, pops up. But watch what happens if I'm not in list view. I'll go Case of, if I could spell, the Shattered. So then it pops up in the folder, but then you have to go through the extra step of going into the folder. So saves time if you just are in list view if you're doing folders. But I did not do list view. I just raw dog it and throw them all out there. So we've got our cards. We've got our sequences. So now that we have our template all set up, very bare bones, but it's got all the important things we need. We have our necessary folders. Our cards are in the file. We've got everything ready. So that's going to conclude part 1 of this tutorial. Part 2, when we come back, is going to be learning how to set up an intro and an outro for our files, because intro and outro are one of the least changing things in the project, so getting them out of the way will be terrific. And we will also delve into setting up overlays for card stack layers and for deck names, life total, and turns, because once those are all set up, we finally have our template completely done. So be sure to tune into part 2 and part 3 of this tutorial. They should all be coming out at the same time, so nobody has to wait. And once again, there will be a playlist for them all down in the description below. So with that being said, I'm an HP to the puzzle. Thank you for watching today. Hope I see you next time.